Coming to you from Studio HQ, you're joining us for another episode of the Sunder Katz. Why Sunder? We're going to be talking about something different, something original. For example, Oni Press. And why cats is because we're the coolest cats in town. Speaking of cats, I am Dodgy in the mix, mixing up with Rabbit. Paul Gomez, what's happening, Rabbit?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another great show.
And my main man, Manny from Truthful Comics, what's happening?
Not much, man. I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. Aren't we all? I mean, Oni Press is a publisher I haven't really heard too much about. But before we dive in, let's shout out our sponsor. Manny, what's happening October 1st?
Buying the Comics Day.
Woohoo! Yeah, October 1st. If you're a creator like our panel here, please reach out to your local comic book store, make an event, celebrate local creators. It is Artist Alley in your LCS. Oni Press is a book that's been around since 1997, celebrating 25 years this year, coming right out of Portland, Oregon, created by Bob Schreck and Joe Nosenbach. Probably the most famous book that they've made is Scott Pilgrim. Just going to reach out to you guys. Rabbit, have you heard of Oni Press or read any of the books prior to today's episode?
Well, I looked into their website, and they have a great website. So I noticed they had Rick and Morty, and then they had a few others that were kind of noticeable. I did know Scott Pilgrim, of course, definitely because of the movie, but I also flipped through a few pages beforehand. That's about my extent of Oni.
Yeah. I'm quite similar. I've known about Scott Pilgrim, just knowing the name, even long before the movie came out. It was just that it was there in all the bookstores because they come out in like little trades rather than floppies. How about you, Manny? Were you exposed at all?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of comics, and actually, in fact, back in Puerto Rico, I used to get some Oni books.
Okay.
A few years, a while ago. So I own a few of them, and it's crazy because it's I know I own a bunch of them. When I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Oni. But and nothing pops in my head like, yeah, this title is Oni, this title is Oni. But yeah, Scott Pilgrim is like the most popular one, and I don't know if a lot of people know it's actually Oni Press.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the movie came out like a long time ago now, 2010, so 12 years ago.
Wow.
And it stars John Cena, also many additional supporting actors, Chris Evans, Brandon Routh, Captain America and Superman, respectively. Fun movie. I think it's a movie that kind of was before its time. I think if it came out after the Avengers was released, I think the awareness and the popularity of this movie would have skyrocketed, and we may have received a number of sequels because I think this was the kind of movie that didn't really deserve only one film, considering the Lord knows how many books that came out after the launch of the film. But
Right.
Rabbit, just what is your experience with the movie as well as the book?
I thought the movie was pretty good. I mean, it was definitely worth the watch. Of course, you have all those great characters in it, but it was really a fun kind of movie. You know, it was one of those that you go into not really expecting too much, and whenever I first saw it, it just kind of hit you because it did have all that action and all that acting and great storytelling in the movie itself.
Yeah, and I think with Michael Cera coming off Juno, which was only released a few years before that, he was known as playing like the Weasley little kid, and being the guy who's gets picked on. I think he was a great casting choice. But Rabbit, you read the Scott Pilgrim book. What were your thoughts about it?
I definitely thought there was a few things that were a little intriguing and a few things that were a little out of place. The whole him dating a young high school girl was kind of like a little weird for me at the beginning. But whenever you dive into it, and they were talking about his gay roommate and his sister and stuff, I thought the ensemble itself was the best part of the book. I mean, not to
Yeah.
take away from the main character and his exploits between these two girls, but to me, really, it was an ensemble and the whole cast of characters that it had.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Manny? What were your thoughts? Actually, not seeing the movie, but reading the book. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I like the book quite a bit. I like the artwork a lot.
Mhm.
It's funny because a lot of the things that I don't know if I didn't like or if it's just that it's taking me a little bit to adjust. It's just the way the ensemble interacted with each other. And I know people interact with each other in real life in different ways, but it's like when we talk about the gay roommate, they slept on the same bed, right? It's just it's so it's I guess it's weird for me because I've never experienced that in the sense of even with a straight roommate sleeping on the same bed. So it took a while for me to just process it, like, why are they sleeping in the same bed? And then he goes into, well, we're really poor, so we're sleeping on the same. But even still, get a futon, dude. Like, it's just it made no sense to me. But and also another thing that was kind of weird is the dialogue. At times it felt like the pacing was off, and just the way the dialogue was written, and in me trying to justify it is maybe it's Canadian English, so it's the way they speak is different than what I'm used to as an American, you know. But I don't know, maybe I don't know if you guys catch any of the dialogue. It felt like it was kind of weird or out of place. But at some points, I was like, why did they finish that sentence like that, or why did they? I don't know. It was kind of strange to me. But I
Yeah.
really enjoy. Oh, go ahead, Dodgy.
I was just going to say, even in the movie, some of the dialogue is dry. It's
Yeah.
dry
Right.
humor. So sometimes it's like, yeah, it can come across a bit strange, but you accept it because of where it is. You know, your neck of the woods, my neck of the woods are completely different. So you kind of like tolerate a bit. But please continue.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say that the parts I enjoy the most were the relationship parts I really like, and also the music parts. It's very realistic. I've dealt with music for a long time, and I've dealt with friends that do music, make music, and when they get together and jam and stuff like that, it reminded me of those times. I was like, man, it feels real. It feels like the story may be fictional in a way, but I think he put a lot of himself uh into that story. Like he's experienced some of this stuff. So because it felt too real. I was like, yeah, this is exactly how it happens. You go in the room and you're saying smart quips back and forth, or you're hating on another band. It felt really cool. And also it made me laugh out loud when they when they actually get the gig and the band, like the rival band, is singing, and then one of the guys is like, boo, and the main singer says, this is our last song, is we hate you, or it made me laugh out loud. It was like, this is so crazy, dude. It's a really cool book. It's really long and it has a lot of slow parts, but it was a fun read. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it kind of has that manga feel. Like it's a little bit smaller than your traditional book when you hold it in your hand, and it's a lot thicker. So it's collected in a trade, but in a manga style. So you will notice that potentially it's because the pages are smaller. That's why you have more pages. And maybe just in digital, it just looks like there's a stack
Yeah.
load more pages. But yeah, I do like the dialogue, especially between him and his gay roommate. And like it's sort of like, unless you know someone like that, you have people that just talk crude to each other,
Yeah.
and it's just part of their who they are in their DNA. Because I worked with gay people, even straight people that say stuff like that, and you're just kind of like, okay, it's like, all right,
Yeah,
okay,
no doubt.
you be you, and
Yeah, no doubt. And you know what I also like? I don't know if y'all read the whole thing and actually saw the extras in the book, but when you actually go through the whole story and and I actually checked the extras, they put a lot of character designs. They're explaining
Yeah.
what they want the characters to be, how they wanted to interact, and they actually put photos of the actual places that they put in the comic, which is places that they lived. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, this is, yeah, it's so cool. And the artist, he basically, you know, illustrated the places to a T in his own style. But it looks, if you take a photo, and they do, they put the photo and then they put the artwork right next to it, and you're like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you know, they this is, it looks perfect, you know. It's really cool little feature.
Yeah. And I mean, his first love interest was Nice Chow, and then he moves on to Ramona, who's the main protagonist in the film, or the girlfriend of Scott Pilgrim, who has a whole bunch of ex-boyfriends that cause him a whole world of pain. Bro, you should move on. I mean, seriously, let her go.
Is she really worth that much? Those beatings?
Yeah, but God, you got to see the movie, because it's done in like times 3,000. Like, that's the thing I love about it. It has that love story, and then it moves on to like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter type of scenario. And I don't know, I feel like watching it again, it's one of those movies that you just going in just to watch garbage, but it's good garbage. It's just fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's good bad.
Don't worry about the script. Yeah, don't worry about the script. And I mean, to his credit, Edgar Wright just moved on from Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, so he did a lot of the Simon Pegg and Nick Frost movies to move on to this. Right. It was a good stepping stone for him. It was produced by Judd Apatow, so a 40-Year-Old Virgin fame. It had a lot of that charisma. So I don't know, definitely a movie worth watching if you just want to have fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, seriously, it's the flagship book of Oni Press, and if you haven't read it, do yourself a favor, watch the movie first and then check out the books, because obviously the books were ongoing since the movie had finished a long time ago. All right. And we're going to just dive into some of the books now. And this book was quite long, but surprisingly very, very good. And I really enjoyed it. And that is My Boyfriend is a Bear. It was the kind of book that kind of had to make me look in the mirror a couple of times. This is written by Pamela Ribon with art by Kat Farris. I'm going to start with you, Rabbit. What did you think of My Boyfriend is a Bear?
Well, I loved it. I mean, it was definitely a great book. It did have some spots that took a little while to build up to, and it probably could have been a little bit shorter, but the whole psychology of it and the way they talked about, you know, her choosing this bear over all these guys and the reasoning behind it, it was great the way it was put together. I found myself laughing out loud at least 6, 7, 8 times easily.
Yeah,
easily in this book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's like a book where it's like it really focuses on what it's like to have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend in your life. And Manny, what did you think of My Boyfriend is a Bear?
Well, it took till today to actually think of it in a different way. As I was reading it, when I first saw the cover, I said, "My boyfriend is a bear." Okay, there's something's got to be off with this. It can't be what they're actually saying. As I'm reading it, yes, I was like, "Am I reading a bestiality book? What is going on here?
Right?
What are we reading?" And it literally is like at some point she's like, "All right, mating season was great, and we broke the bed," and I'm like, "What the hell are we reading?" But it's really interesting, and it's really funny. The artwork is great. But then as I sat here before we started recording and I was thinking about it, I even wrote the whole thing. I actually understood that the bear is just like a social commentary. That's the way I feel when I actually read about it. The bear can be anything. It's just they put a bear. It's just to make it funny and to make it, it's like a visual aesthetic, But when you actually think about it, it can be if you have a black boyfriend and you're a white girl. It can be if you're black and you bring a white boyfriend. It can be if you're a minority and you bring a person that is not from your culture,
Yeah.
and your friends won't accept them, and your family won't accept them, or female, and
or herself. You know,
yeah, and
it could be just herself, and as opposed to picking some other guy.
right, and you know what made me think of it, and I won't take too much time, but when I my first girlfriend was black, and my grandma, and maybe she rests her, God rest her soul. On my dad's side, she was extremely racist, and I did not know it. I did not know that. So I wanted her to meet her, right? I brought her to my grandma's house, and it was such a shock. Like when she left or whatever, my grandma told me flat out, "I don't want you ruining the lineage." Just like I'm not lying. I'm telling you, just like that. I don't want you to ruin the lineage. We're all white. We're all green eyes and whatever. And she was such a shock to me. To this day, I will never forget that, and it broke me. But and when I read this, I was like, Jesus, man, this is it's basically like that. Is the bear can be just it can be a fat guy. It can be like friends. Friends expect you sometimes to date a certain people. Like let's say she's a rich person. She's a rich girl, and all of a sudden she's dating a garbage pickup truck. I got a pick of garbage. He may be the best guy in the world and treat her nice, and her friends won't accept him.
Right.
It don't have to be the family. It can be the friends, and but as long as she's happy. And at some point in the story, she's doubting herself. They start putting stuff in her head, and that's what happens in real life. Oh,
it does. Yeah.
and when one of her friends say, "Yeah, but he's hibernating," but what if he has another girl bear there with him? And in real life, it's like, yeah, he's going to the club with his friends, but what if there's a girl there?
Yeah.
And the woman starts, machinations, like, is he really by himself? And it was funny because they used the bear and they did it so cleverly. Then when I was reading it, I was not realizing. I was just in shock that it was like a bestiality. Sorry. But I didn't see past the visual until today, and I was like, damn it! Now it makes sense. It's
so true.
Kudos, man! It was such a great story. Yeah.
And to your point, I think it took me about halfway into the book myself, because I was like, is this really about bestiality? And then whenever she tried to introduce them to her friends, I was like, this is somebody that they disapprove of, not just a bear. That's what it really was about. Yeah.
And also he starts building stuff. Like what bear builds stuff?
Building shells for the cat because he doesn't want to walk on the cat anymore.
Yeah.
This is not a regular freaking bear. There's something wrong with this. It's cool.
And there's just some pages like the one we're looking at right now, Things Broken by the Bear. I loved it. Like, I love some of the pages that they just put up. And I think it's genius because it shows like a story, and then there's like a page spread of all the wrong things the bear has done.
Right.
And you think about it, right? You move in with your girlfriend and you might be a bit clumsy and you might go, oh, what does this do? You touch it, it falls off the shelf and breaks.
Right.
And then you're like, damn it. Or you just adjusting with the changes in your life. Right. She has to adapt with this bear is like big and he's huge and he's clumsy. He's broken beds and everything else. But at the same time, you've got to adjust.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny because at one point she said the mom is talking to her and she's like, well, now is this gonna happen every year? Like, are you gonna have a half a life and he's gonna be hibernating? Yeah. But in my mind, when I read that, I actually thought of military families.
Right.
When you have a military husband or wife, they go for 6 months at a time, a year, 2 years. And when if that's your wife, that's a rough go. When you have to, you can't see her for a whole year, and you're like, damn, man, what am I going to do a whole year without my wife? And that happens every day. That happens every day, and I'm sure those families go through that. Like, damn, what are you gonna do now? Who's gonna cook for you? Who's gonna? And it's they did it so cleverly, man. I was like, wow, this is deeper than I thought it was. Way deeper. So it's a really good book.
Yeah, it really is, and you see all these, as mentioned before about the previous spread. We got this one with the bee. That bees kill more humans than bears. And you've got the bee with his cocktail going, "Yep, I own you."
People don't date bees.
Yeah,
That's so freaking funny.
and then when
man.
we hear about the commentary, like you mentioned before, Manny, and the art style goes from a bit more of a Picasso style.
Yeah, but that's also because they're drunk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're drunk, so they're seeing each other like oh, I'm dizzy, I'm drunk or whatever. But what they're saying is slowly eating away at her.
Yeah.
To the point where she's
right.
like she gets mad at the bear and for no reason, and the bear is like, what's going on? Like, what did I do? It's because of all the outside influence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she tries to kick him out, but can't force herself to.
Yeah,
But it is sad. It kind of reminds me of the movie the Shape of Water. I don't know if you guys seen that, about the girl that falls in love with a sea monster.
Yeah, right.
It's a great movie too.
Movie.
Like, fantastic.
I've been dying to see that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Very deep, but it's like it sort of has this tale to it. Whereas, hard to find love with someone of the same species, but you just force yourself to love someone who's not in the social norm or context. But it's still love. It's undeniable love. Like,
right. It's like Beauty and the Beast, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah, or King Kong.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We'll move on now to a completely different book, and this in different genre, of course, and that is Rogue Planet, written by Cullen Bunn. These Buns Don't Lie. Art by Andy McDonald, with colors by Nick Filardi and letters by Crank. I love that name, Crank.
Yeah.
Rabbit, what did you think of Rogue Planet?
I thought it was a good introduction book. I mean, I would like to definitely see where it goes. It really kind of threw you in the middle of not knowing where you're at and what's going on, kind of thing. It was a good story and put together well. So I mean, it didn't like jump too far out of place, but it cleared up some of the holes that it dropped right off the bat for you. So, like I said, it was definitely a good introduction kind of book, especially if you like sci-fi.
Yeah, and it has that alien introduction to it. So you got like all the crew members' names. But yeah, you're right. There is like a small introduction with these alien species, and it just ends, and then we go into a scene where we're introduced to humans, apparently traveling to the same planet. But Manny, what did you think of Rogue Planet?
Well, the first thing is the artwork was incredible, man. From the colors to the line work, it was beautiful to look at every page. It has a lot of those I guess sci-fi movies we've seen before. Like you go to a different planet and encounter an alien species that want to kill you. Like we've seen this before. What we haven't seen is the way this like when the last page when we see the I don't want to say too much. I want people to read it.
True.
But
I had to not add that slide in.
Yeah, when we saw that last visual, I'm like, holy shit, I've never seen this before. This is crazy. But it's as I was reading it, I was like, don't go. They're going for they're like treasure hunters. They're trying to make a payload. But as they arrive, I'm already reading it. I'm yelling at the page. I'm like, dude, don't go. This is a trap. How can you not see this?
Yeah.
And also there's this one scene with the father, quote unquote, what he does to his son is so freaking brutal. I'm like, Jesus, man, what is going on here? If he did that to his son, I cannot even imagine what they're gonna do to the people. Oh my God. And the crazy part is when they encounter all these, at one point they encounter all these ships that they've been destroyed. They're all in the same spot. At that point, if I see the pilots and they're all dead or whatever, we gotta bounce.
Gone.
There's nothing here that's worth my life. Trust me. but all of them want. Yeah, all of them want to leave, and except this one, the captain is like, "Nah, I'll leave you here." Like, are you serious, dude? You see like 30 ships, they're destroyed. All these pilots are dead, and you're gonna attack me? The one of the one. I mean, it's just at that point I would have been like, all right, we're all jumping him,
Yeah.
and we're out of here. But
I mean,
I guess
look, I just saw some really nice gold over there. Go check it out. He goes, and then we all just hightail.
Yeah.
Take it out.
Get the high
bye.
road. Bye.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was crazy. And they actually encounter this giant creature before they encounter, they deal with the cliffhanger. And at that point, when they saw that creature, how can you what are you gonna? They're shooting at it with the weapons that they have. It's not even making a dent. So why are you staying? You know that you cannot hurt it. It just made no sense to me. Obviously, that's the story, and they want you to get the next one or whatever. But it made no sense to me. I was like, holy crap, dude! I was like yelling, "You need to get the hell out of there! You need."
I know, why stay?
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Just go. And they actually said it. One of the characters said, "We can get a payload at any other planet. This is there. We don't have to be here," which also makes me question, like, maybe the captain does know more than that he's actually saying.
Yeah, or if somehow, because I just wonder if the actual planet manipulates the mind of certain people.
Right.
It could be.
Maybe they look for the smartest one or the senior, and just go, okay, I want to hack into his brain and control. Because maybe in his rightful conscience, he would be one to, like you said, Manny, just get the hell out. But maybe the planet is manipulating his mind and saying, no, you need to stay.
Yeah. Or maybe it deals with like emotions, like the Green Lantern rings.
Yeah.
If you have greed, you get the orange ring. If you want hope, they give you the green or whatever. Maybe it's something like that. I guess we'll have to see the next issue.
The greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, knowing that this person is wanting, is wanting to buy gold or, find gold or whatever the jewels are that creates their fat pockets. But yeah, I really dig it. It felt very quick.
Yeah.
It was a very quick read. Like, we just got, as soon as we start reading, we're already at the end. Like, that's one of the good and the bad when you pick up a floppy, is the fact, especially for an introductory book, we generally get the cliffhanger on the last page before the story begins. So this is a book you should definitely check out, especially if you're wanting to read more. Can't say enough about that. And obviously, These Buns Don't Lie. Cullen Bunn is the master when it comes to horror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love some of the pages here. This is what I was mentioning before about, the crew. They've just got their names, so it does have that alien feel to it.
Yeah.
The cargo on board and why they're going to that destination. I love that.
And that's one crazy thing about comic books. They take so long to make, and yet if it's a good one, you fly through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ain't that crazy? And that's your barometer. The quicker you read through it and you want to know more, that's the best comic you can read. At the same time, you put all that work, all that time into it. It's such a weird media. Like, it's so crazy, man. I love it, but it's yeah.
And
it's
then you
weird.
have to wait a month for the next issue. What the heck?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's why people buy trades.
True, but also that is a great way for the comic industry to keep going, because people do want to wait that month to grab the next issue.
Yep.
A year for a trade might be too long, though.
Oh, I know. All right, doubt, man.
Gonna move on to the next book. I have seen this around. I've seen it in banners at comic conventions. I've seen it around in comic book stores. They just have posters up. But it's really just the image and the logo of this character, Agretsuko. Is actually, I had to do some research. It's actually a red panda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's actually made by Sanrio. Just don't say that in front of my mother, because she absolutely loves Hello Kitty. And Yeah, and and then I just feel my wallet is shrinking when it comes to Christmas and birthday presents when I hear that name. Sanrio, Hello Kitty. It's probably one of the more newer characters from that brand, and
Okay.
and this book was actually written by Daniel Barnes with art by DJ Kirkland, colors by Sarah Stern, again letters by Crank. So Crank is busy cranking it up with the letters. Rabbit, what did you think of Agretsuko?
Actually, this was my favorite book of this week right here. It pulled me in. At first, I was kind of like shying away from it because of the way it looked, but the story itself and the way that it was written, it drew me in. I mean, all the characters, the way they acted, and the way the events kind of just flew one right after the other. It definitely was well worth the read.
Yeah. And I've also heard too that this was actually an animated series. So these characters that you're seeing in this book are all established characters, which I was quite surprised about because some of them were like, only on a couple of panels here and then a couple of panels there. But Manny, what did you think of Agretsuko?
I really like the book. It was I was not expecting what I got. I was I was expecting something really silly, and in a sense it's kind of silly, but it because they're talking about the flu and it's like a virus or something like so. I associate it with the COVID thing.
Yeah.
So
We
and
all
there's
did.
yeah, and but it's at the same time it's like the COVID, but at the same time it's like a zombie story. And they're like trying to fight the people with the mop or something like it was so freaking hilarious. So yeah, it was super funny. The artwork is beautiful. It's very clean. Everything is really it was really funny. I laugh out loud a bunch of times. So I was like,
Yeah,
damn,
me
this
too.
is funny that I expected.
Because I mean, in my line of work, I've had a lot of people call in sick, so some of us have to do like double the work. We had a guy come into work who came in with the sniffles, and we're like, "Should you be here?" And then find out that he's COVID positive. So that was
Oh
annoying.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
God.
we had that. So it kind of like resonated with me. I think everyone resonates some way or another, but I just thought it was great. I thought it was silly, but it was intelligent at the same time. And
And it's funny because at the end, the boss, like the main boss, is telling his employees, "Oh, you know that if you're sick, you gotta stay home. You cannot come to work and get ready."
yeah,
In real life, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
In real life,
exactly.
you can be dying and people want you to go to work, which is that made it funny because I was like, "Yeah, right. Where the hell is that boss that wants you to stay home because you have the sniffles?" That doesn't happen, but it
Yes,
is funny.
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, you saw that employee that he should have been at home, and it just like that's the start of the zombie apocalypse, and it was just so well put together. And one of the characteristics of Agretsuko is that she is an aggressive character. So you can see it here in some panels, but not in a whole lot. She does come across as awfully sweet, but
Yeah.
there is some venom in there in those veins at times.
And it's so hilarious when she starts yelling at the mic and everybody's like you covering their ears and ass busted out laughing. Like I can visualize it because I have 3 kids. So my youngest carries around this speaker and a mic. So I know how that feels. It sucks. And they start yelling at the mic. I was like, yeah, that's exactly like I know how that feels. I know your pain. Oh man.
Yeah, and I just love this little panel here. She says, "I'll cut you," like it was real cute.
Yeah. And the story, it was well layered. I mean, it had like this little bit where he was going to go check her, and then my favorite part was where she was getting into the elevator and the other employee was like, "They've already got me. You need to save yourself."
Yeah, save yourself.
But it was a mom. Yeah, that was good.
It was so great. Yeah.
I'll keep them at bay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because that panel right there where the guy is doing like a full cavity search on her, and
Mhm.
you can see her face so cute, but the background is just fire. Like
Yeah.
she's like, "Don't you dare!" It's super funny, man. Super funny.
Yeah, I just wonder how good the animated series is. Seriously,
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
I
got to
haven't
be
seen
better.
it very good as this.
It's got to be
Yeah,
better than Cartoon Network, what they have now, for sure.
definitely. And I just love seeing the pig tell his story with his head on the multiple panels. That's so clever.
Yeah. It's like
It's
didn't they have that in Spider-Man, like old school Spider-Man stories where they had his
Yeah.
face and then they had a balloon or him explaining. I'm not sure if it was
yeah,
Spider-Man.
I'm certain they have. There has been, but
Yeah,
it's not. But this is like, I guess that's more of a storytelling.
cartoony. Yeah, it's
Yeah, but this
funny.
is like this is to give it like a bit of charm and a bit of
Yeah,
humor, and I don't know. I just really
yeah,
love it.
it's really
It's
cool.
kind
It's
of,
really funny.
yeah, and I thought this was like going to be very kiddie.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
No.
definitely not. It is smart,
It's
and it
smart.
is
Yeah,
and there is a lot of how can I say, like, assumed humor.
Yeah.
You know, like you mentioned before, with the fire in the background. If a kid looked at that, may not understand it, where we do,
Yeah.
and it's great. You know, it actually is great.
yeah.
And gonna move on now. And this book surprised me a lot. I think what surprised me the most is the creative team, and that is Jonah the Unpossible Monsters.
Mm.
By Chris Samney and Laura Samney, with art by Chris Samney, known more for his Daredevil, and his Captain America work was by far my favorite. I seriously, absolutely loved his Captain America run. It was too short, should have been a lot longer, but I absolutely adored that. Um, John of the Impossible Monsters is colored by Matthew Wilson and letters by Crank, cranking it up again. Crank is everywhere in Oni
Mhm.
Press. Rabbit, what did you think of Jonah and the Impossible Monsters?
The best thing about this book to me was the art, because it was definitely a beautiful, beautiful book put together. Uh, I felt like it was an introduction to an introduction. I understood that, you know, the sister was out there looking for this other sister.
Yes.
Yeah, but the reasoning why kind of escaped me.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, it was really, really well written, where the dialogue was put to good use while she was talking to the other characters.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like I said, it seemed like an introduction to an introduction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I could tell you a personal story, this feels like myself and my younger brother when he was young, because he would just wander off, and my parents were like, "Where's your brother?" And I had this adventure of trying to look for him.
That's funny.
Oh dear, there was like a 3 year gap between him and I had to go looking for him all the time, and I
Right.
was the more of the stress between myself and my parents, because if I came back without him, oh my goodness, my
You will
I'll be,
pay.
yeah, exactly. Like, I'll be paying times 1,000. So I had to go
Yeah,
looking for my brother, and it kind of had that feel to it.
Yeah.
And I just, you're right. The art was fantastic. I really want to
Yeah.
hear Manny's input with that. But
Yeah.
I think the not knowing where the sister is, and I have seen this book in my local LCS. I think it's up to like issue number 12 or something like that now. So there are a few issues since, and I know Jonah is she's like a barbarian type of sister, bit strong, maybe a bit like She-Hulk, like Savage She-Hulk, where she just fight things and just smash things. But Manny, I just want to hear what you thought about Jonah number 1 and the Impossible Monsters.
well, this is my favorite of the ones that we read, but I have to be biased. I mean, I have to admit I'm biased because Chris Samney
Mm-hmm.
is one of my favorite artists. You know,
Yeah.
so I knew about this book, but when I actually went to my LCS to get it, it was sold out everywhere. The first issue, so I was
Yeah.
like, damn it, I'm gonna have to get the trade or whatever. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hadn't read it until we read it, this number 1 issue. Yeah, and Paul is right. It is an introduction. It leaves a lot of questions. A lot of questions. For example, I mean, I know your sister, you're looking for her, but why are they by themselves? Where are the
Yeah.
parents? How, I mean, obviously Jonah is not a regular girl. The way she jumps and fights and goes at the dinosaur or whatever that thing is that's not a normal girl. I mean,
No.
even if you can be the bravest you can be, but you're not gonna face a giant dinosaur.
Yeah.
Also, a whole year goes by and then nobody can find her in the story, and I'm asking myself why. Also, after the year has gone by, they're talking about there's no more birds. What the hell happened? Like, why are there no birds? It's a lot of questions. But I think they did it, on purpose to make you buy the next issue, obviously.
Of course.
But it's such a. I mean, this could be an animated movie, man. It's so beautiful to look at. It's freaking crazy. The character designs is amazing. We see different creatures that we never seen before. And at the same time, it brings it down when they actually they go to this village, and this granny type of character brings her in, and you can see the sister is hungry. She's by herself, and then she brings her in and feeds her or whatever she feeds her, and she looks at it like, holy crap, what the hell am I? It smells good, but it looks like crap. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Luke and Yoda when they first met. When he said, food, come on, good food, good, and he brings him to his hut, and then he's looking at the food. All right, let me try this, and he's like, holy crap, what is? So it reminded me a lot of that, like wisdom. She's, it was a really, tender scene, and yeah, I'm sure that we're gonna get a lot more in the next issue. So
definitely. And I mean, it just shows how broad Chris Samney's art style is, because I've seen his work, and I did not see I've seen this book a few times, but not just not aware of the name behind the art.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah, Chris Samney is one of those artists that completely is a total master of negative space. Like, just with black and whites, he can create depth like not a lot of artists can do that. He's a master among masters. And you can see the color right now in the image we're looking at. It's a two-page spread, and it looks so vibrant. It looks so vast, and the scope of it. But when you actually look into detail, it's basically one tone of color for each thing. Is one tone of color. It's very animation style. The shades are shapes. They're not faded. It's not too much detail. It's just he just gives you enough, and it looks absolutely incredible. I mean, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the second tree from the far left, right, you can see some birds in there with the yellow. I just wonder if this is a reason why there's no birds left, because I didn't actually notice that till now. We can see birds in this page.
Yeah.
So
and there's another page where you can see other birds also, and then they made it a point to say 1 year later, and then there's no more birds left. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, unless this monster just sucked them all in, and maybe that's how Jonah and they disappeared.
Yeah, I cannot wait to read more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the kind of book that does leave a lot of questions unanswered. Just like Rogue Planet, I felt like we get an introduction, but we don't see anything because you've got to literally read the second story in order to get the gist of what's going on. And that's the joys of comic books, especially indie comics, is that we're left wanting more. And these are new to us, new to anyone who picks them up, because these are not established characters that maybe the creators are established, but not the actual content. So this is why indie comics is amazing.
Yeah, you don't know exactly what's going to happen because you've never seen these characters before.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No, seriously, I think there's been a real joy here checking out Oni Press, because again, checking stuff out we've never seen or read before. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun, and I mean, Rabbit, what are your overall thoughts with Oni Press?
Now, one thing we didn't touch on was definitely their website. If you hadn't checked out their website, I think it was definitely one of the best that I've seen so far. So check that out. They had plenty of titles. They had a lot of LGBT. I forget the correct
LGBTQ.
titles, and they have tons that are a wide variety. I definitely, like I said, loved some of these books, and enjoyed and laughed out loud. So it's definitely something that you don't want to pass up.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And how about you, Manny? What have been your biggest takeaways with Oni Press?
I don't know. My biggest takeaway, I guess. I knew I haven't read Jonah, but I knew it was going to be great. So yeah, I wasn't disappointed. But I am looking forward to actually watching the Scott Pilgrim movie, and actually picking up the other volumes of the Scott Pilgrim comic. I don't know. It's interesting enough that I want to read more. And the artwork is interesting enough that I want to read more. And yeah, I might look into those.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm just checking out the Oni Press website right now, Rabbit, and they actually have a like the Scott Pilgrim action figure set.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
wow.
Little, like little, like no points of articulation, like little sculpted figures.
They
They
have
look amazing.
Like
tons and
PVC?
tons of stuff on that site. That site, like I said, was one of the best sites that I've seen since I've been reviewing sites.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, because if you're looking at it, you see how much stuff it has, whether you're just talking about the books or you're talking about the information on the creators and writers. It goes into so many details on just about everything. And it's got a shop in there that's loaded full of stuff that you can check out if you do like these titles. Tons of stuff to buy. I mean, this site was one that I'd love to create my site after, kind of thing.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at, they've got board games. They've got board games of Agretsuko. They've also got one of Scott Pilgrim. So
Wow.
yeah, they've got, and there's like there's jigsaw puzzles as well.
Collections of books, prints,
Wow.
stickers. I mean, just about anything you could think of, they probably have it on that site. Like I said, it was an amazing site to check out.
That's dope.
And you can shop by creator, shop by series, shop by product, teen, kids, LGBTQ content as well. Invader Zim is also on there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my God, that's right, Invader Sim, man. See, this is what I'm saying. I have a bunch of these comics that when I read it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Oni Press, but for some reason I cannot put two and two together until I'm actually reading them. But yeah, Invader Sim, I love it. I love Invader Sim.
Exactly. So again, like, do yourself a favor, check out your local comic book store. Ask them if they have anything on from Oni Press, because you're going to be surprised that they do have content that you might just be looking for something different, and there's so much available. Like when I look at like Jonah, I look at Agretsuko, as well as My Boyfriend as a Bear. Rogue Planet is such a completely different contrast. It feels like it came from a completely different publisher. It looks more Aftershock or Dark Horse than Oni Press. So you're getting something different. So please check out your local comic book store and check out what's available.
No doubt.
But no, guys, Oni Press is a publisher that needs to be looked at. 25 years in the business. I think that's another reason why Rabbit, they've got so much content, is because they've been around for so long.
For so long, yeah.
Yeah. And also, like Manny's going to do, check out the movie, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's a movie that is, it's just a feel-good, smash mouth, do yourself a favor and check out type of film. But guys, thank you so much for tuning to another episode of the Sunder Katz. Remember to click and like and subscribe to get more from Sunder Katz. Think Indie Pod. We've got another episode coming out next week. We've got one launching very soon. Comic Crusaders have so much more. Check out Al Mega's podcast. Christ in the Toyverse, Cinema Crusaders. Check it all out. Click like and subscribe right here. And until then, Sunder!
Sunder!
Sunder Katz.
Yo! We got it right this time.
Yep.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.shop. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.